Aloha, everyone. So I am super excited about my guest today. I'll be introducing her in a moment. And first, I want to just let you know that I am in a location where people are moving, so you might hear some banging and stuff like that. So I'm going to be muting myself for this amazing interview of my amazing guest, Peace. She is a psychic and astrologer, and she has dedicated her life to understanding the metaphysical and astrological aspect of where we're at and what's going on in the world. And today, she's going to share her story, which is absolutely phenomenal. And we're going to get a reading about what is happening in the world. So, Peace, it's so great to have you on. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. So let us know a little bit about your story. You had a major awakening in 2015. Can you let us know about what happened?
So 2015, I ended up having to undergo an exorcism. I was going down the road of becoming a bartender. I'd been a bartender for many, many years in the restaurant industry. And just all of a sudden, my entire life just began to fall apart. And just like many other people that are going through today, where, our jobs are falling apart, relationships falling apart, my family broke apart. I had 3 kids. They ended up, going away. And it was like the universe just started ripping me to shreds. At that same time, I started seeing spirits. If you would have told me back then that this is what I would be doing today, there's no way I would have taken another shot and said, okay, and laughed. But it ended up bringing me into this beautiful awareness. And I had 2 choices back then, live or die. At that time, I began getting scratches of 3, which was a disrespect to the Trinity, all down my back. And I literally thought the bugs were attacking me. I had looked up invisible bugs called thrips. I thought it was thrips. I called in a bug guy. The guy looked at my back and was scared he was scared to death. And he says, lady, I don't know what that is, but those are not bug bites, and I don't know what to tell you. At that point, I got down to 109 pounds, soaking wet with boots on. I had lost my home. I had lost my job. I had lost my family. I had lost everything under the sun. And I realized that back then, I had plateaued as a human. I needed something more in my life. I plateaued as a parent. I plateaued as a friend. I plateaued as even an employee or just an employee in life. So the next thing I know, I am being triggered with getting emails from astrologers that I had never even looked up. In my Facebook, I started getting psychics coming into my awareness. And so I just started going down the rabbit hole, and here I am today. In doing so, I spent this entire time studying the laws of the universe and trying to find out all the secrets that I possibly could to understand where we are now and where we are headed, and obviously where I'd been. So in doing so, it gave me a bigger understanding of what is going on and why we are having to go through what we're going through today.
I'm muting myself. Wow. First, that's incredible. And how did you exercise? Like, there are different entities and different energies that are around us all of the time. And so how did you come back to the light? How did you release that energy from you?
So I ended up calling in, it was actually a television show. I didn't know that they were a television show. And I had called them and told them, like, this entity is, wanting me to harm myself. I already had been. I had stopped eating. Like I said, I was down to 109 pounds soaking wet with boots on. And my psyche was like, I could will myself to death at that point. So when I called them, they said that they wouldn't be able to show up for 3 months because they wanted their camera crew and turn it into one of their episodes. Well, when I messaged them back and I let them know, I said, I won't be alive at that point. I might not even make it till this weekend. They immediately showed up that weekend, and they came in. They were able to get the EVPs of the entity that was actually attacking me. He said, I am. And then the next words he said is, I am right here. And he happened to be hanging out at the exact same place where I would go to find my safe zone. So it was a very, very scary incident, considering I knew nothing about it. I was not spiritual. I was not religious. I didn't believe in any of this stuff. I just figured just being a good person and doing all the right things was going to be my protection all in all. But when the universe has, when you have a dharma, which is your karmic journey on this earth, it will do everything in its power to shred you of what you think you're supposed to be doing in order to get you into alignment of where you are supposed to be going. And this was my dharma all along. And then after understanding astrology and seeing it in my chart, I was able to understand and now fully be walking my path.
That's fantastic. And I love that you're walking your path because that's how we met.
Yes.
And she has done a reading for me, and I was so impressed with her that, and we were talking about interviewing and talking about this time because a lot is up. I mean, our world and life has totally changed and it's not going back. And so I know a lot of people are thinking if they just, they just do this, they just get the V and they just, do this, that it's going to go back to normal, but it's not. And here's the thing, it's not meant to go back to normal because there is a new level that we are ascending to. And can you share a little bit about what you think about that and why things are happening the way they're happening?
Yes. So in order to do so, I want to go back in history just a little bit because that's how we do astrology is we're able to point out like astrological events that happened in the past. And so that you can kind of get a better picture of where we are right now. So we have planets in the sky that do affect us. And that's why when I look at a person's chart, I look at where all the planets were at the exact time that you took your very first breath. That's why it's very important for me to look at the exact time of birth off of your birth certificate. So in doing so, we have each planet in a different house and how they're going to affect each and every individual separately. Yes, we are all one, but we are also separate. In doing so, if you go back 500 years ago, we had a grand conjunction, which means we have 3 or more planets that come together in the sky. And when that happens, it causes a big boom. Okay, so a lot of changes. So in doing so, we have Saturn, which is all about rules, laws, restriction, responsibility. And what do you think that ring around him is for? Boundaries. Okay, if you haven't noticed, we've got a lot of boundaries going on right now. And then we have Mars, which is the planet of action, war, passion, sexuality. And then we have Pluto. Pluto is death and rebirth. It also rules viruses. So 500 years ago, those 3 amigos is what we like to call them in astrology because they're the heavy hitters, all came together. And when they conjuncted, they caused the political upheaval because Capricorn also rules politics. Let me go back to that for a minute. Capricorn rules politics, government. Saturn rules old men. Hello, look at what's going on right now. We've got a bunch of old men that we are believing in that we think, oh, look at this cute little old man. He wouldn't harm us. He looks like a nice guy. He'll go ahead and take care of us. Okay, so when doing so, 500 years ago, it caused political upheaval, the Black Plague, and the Salem witch trials. Now, fast forward 500 years. What do we have? On January 12th, 2020, we had the Grand Conjunction in the exact same place as we did 500 years ago, which will cause the exact same thing to happen with a twist, considering we are much more future-esque, right? So in doing so, when we had that Grand Conjunction, what did it cause? Political upheaval, the Black Plague, and the Salem witch trials. So anyone who is speaking out against what is happening today is considered a witch, and you would burn us at the stake because we're not going for what is actually happening, because what it's called the awakening for a reason. Now, in doing so, we have now come in as of December 20th of 2020, we had Saturn move out of Capricorn and into Aquarius. What is Aquarius? It's future. It's humanity. So we're sitting in the same timeline now as we were in the 1960s, 1962 to be exact. So in 1962, we had the upheaval, the uprising, the rebellion. And so people are rebelling at this time. In 1962, we had the big fight, okay? Everybody had to fight for their rights. It was a lot of humanitarians. And of course, it was a lot of hippies that were put basically burned at the stake. You know, everybody thought, oh, they're just a bunch of hippies. They don't know what they're talking about. But we had to learn how to fight a revolution. Anyway, in doing so, at this very moment in time, we're going through what's called the revolution. Okay, so 500 years ago, we had the Salem witch trials, political upheaval, and the Black Plague. So now, fast forward 500 years, and we have the exact same conjunction on January 12th of 2020, which brought up what? The political upheaval, Salem witch trials again, and this time it brought up the viruses, okay? Because Pluto rules viruses. So if you go back to 1982 and 83, because they do conjunct every 30 years, and in doing so, last time it conjuncted was in a different sign of Libra, and that brought up HIV and AIDS. Okay, so anytime those three come together, there's always going to be a different type of a virus that comes out each time. Okay, so this isn't going to be the last time. In 30 years, we're going to have it happen again, and there will be a new virus. But this time is much more special because what is happening right now is we are able to see all the lies that have been told, because Pluto goes into the underworld and Pluto digs up secrets. And the problem with humanity today is the fact that we have been lied to so much that you're going to, and that's part of the grand awakening, that you're going to actually have to start seeing things from a different perspective. So a lot of people are having a very rough time with actually wrapping their heads around what's going on because they believe that the government is here to save them. And the government, if they send them money and if they send them all these things, is going to happen. Now, here's where we get a little tricky. Aquarius rules science. And that is where Saturn entered into that area, and Jupiter, the grand conjunction between those two, on December 21st, 2020. Now, if Aquarius rules science, it goes to show that there is no science backing what they're putting in your bodies today. Okay, so until we have this science to back it, which is going to take years to happen, this is where we go into the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius is where there's the science. It's about humanitarianism. And you have to also look at the United States of America. Okay, United States of America also has a natal chart. The United States is a Cancer, okay, in the zodiac. So Cancer is about home and being free. If you haven't noticed, we haven't been free. So the United States is like that family member, right? The family member that is hitting rock bottom, and no matter what you say, no matter what you do, you can't dig them out. They have to actually hit rock bottom or die. Those are the two options. Now, the United States of America is not going to actually start rebuilding herself until February of 2022. Okay, so in the meantime, we have to let her tear herself almost to an oblivion. Okay, she's going to tear herself almost completely down before she starts to rebuild. So believing in all of these outside entities that are trying to get you to do some science project, is entirely up to you. If you feel like you need something new in your life and you want to rebel and you want to do that. But at the same time, I feel like you need to ask yourself, why are you doing it? Because there's this thing called subtle manipulation. And that is where the darker entities, and yes, there are planets for that, like Algol. Algol is a comet that is in the sky that is playing with this. And then we also have Lucifer. There is a comet called Lucifer, and he's there for a reason. And so those have been very big players in all of this, trying to get people to do the Lucifer race, okay? That would be controlled by Lucifer in the sky. Now, those have been very active participants. So we want to go back to knowing that you have the freedom of choice. Now, let me stop you there for a moment. I want you to think about this. Each and every individual has a karma. Like I talked about earlier when I was telling you about my story. We all have a different karma. So in having that karma, for some people, it is in their karma to get this vaccination because they are going to be part of the science project. Now, do I believe in actually getting it? Absolutely not. Do I feel like anybody should be pushing this on anyone else or subtly manipulating you? Absolutely not. Now, a lot of people are only getting this because their families are pushing them to do it. Well, you don't care about your auntie and uncle if you don't do it. You don't care about the children if you don't do it. That's the subtle manipulation that can be happening in the sky. And let me tell you this, that's Neptune. Neptune is the rose-colored glasses. Neptune also rules the media. Okay, so whenever Neptune is direct, the media has a lot to say in all of this. Whenever Neptune goes retrograde, the media shuts up. So keep that in mind as you're watching the news and banking on what they're trying to tell you, because I've noticed a lot of people who are getting this shot is because the media has told them to do so.
Yeah, I have a question. The two comets that you talked about, people can find those. What is the first one again?
Algol, which rules alcohol. It rules substances.
How would you
and
spell that?
Lucifer. Algol, A-G-U-L.
Okay. And then
A-L-G-U-L. Excuse me, Algol.
And there's a comet Lucifer in the sky right now.
Yes, there is. There's always been a comet there. And so it depends on where those are at in our charts, because each and every one of us have them. There's also one for hygiene. Her name is Hygienia. So there's one for hygiene. So if it's not well aspected, those people aren't going to take a shower. Okay. Those are the types of people that can, not wear deodorant and think that it's okay. I personally believe in deodorant.
So where do you think that, so I love that this conversation is going toward understanding the subtle, and I love that you said subtle, manipulation of things, because it really is that, people, I have family members who are glued to the television, and there is a frequency in that television that is hypnotic. And
Yes.
that is, yeah, so I love that you were talking about subtle manipulation, because when you're in that hypnotized state, relax, I just want to sit down and watch television and just forget about everything. That's what's actually really happening. You are forgetting about everything. And then in this subtle, relaxed state that you're forgetting about everything, there's a subtle manipulation of the media that is bringing to you stuff. Because here in the Big Island of Hawaii, the number of regular flu deaths outweighs the number of sea deaths over every single year for the past 6 years. But yet we have so many restrictions. It's unbelievable. And the governor will not talk with us, even though we have almost 800 people who've signed a petition to meet with the governor. He will not. He keeps saying he's too busy, even though he works for the people and he's supposed to be meeting with us. So I love that you brought that on. And you said that things aren't going to shift. There's going to be even more of a breakdown. What do you see is coming for people, and how can people stay grounded and stay in the heart and love of the infinite creator that we all are? So what are some tips, as well as what do you see coming?
So in June and again in December, we're going to have a square off between Saturn, which is again rules, laws, restriction, and responsibility, sitting in Aquarius. Aquarius rules humanity. So if you haven't noticed, the 6 foot, you have to stay 6 foot away. You have to wear the mask. You have to do all this stuff. And then we have what's called Uranus or Uranus, as some people are giddy like that. They're going to square off. And Uranus is in Taurus. And so Taurus rules banking institutions, hierarchies, stocks, bonds, earthly pleasures, okay? Uranus is breaking free from shackles that bind, but Uranus is also expect the unexpected. So he's one of the planets that is very hard to predict, okay? And any astrologer that says they can predict them, get up and walk away, because that is an untrue statement. Now, Uranus rules rebellion. Okay, and it also rules the people, and its natural home sign is actually where Saturn is, in Aquarius. Okay, so whenever they come to a square, what is going to happen is you're either going to go, oh my God, Saturn, I wear my mask for you. I do all this stuff for you because I can do my part. And the Uranian energy is, no, I'm not doing it, and I'm going to rebel against it, and I'm not getting what you tell me to get. And so you're going to have this point where you're going to have to choose one way or another. That will come up in June. And then when you think you got it, you're going to have another square in December. So a lot of people are going to be changing their mind right now. Okay. And with Pluto now in the underworld until October 7th, to be exact, he's going to be going in and digging up secrets. So you're going to start noticing politically, anybody who's been taking bribes, those things are going to start coming out this week, okay? Because Pluto is going into the underworld. So anybody who's been lying, cheating, and stealing, Pluto will out you, okay? So I feel like what's going to end up happening with a lot of people is they're going to have to, again, they're going to make new decisions based off of the information that they receive at that time, okay? So it's what I want to say to a lot of people is try not to be so dogmatic about your belief systems because they are always subject to change. It's like you can go from being very, very Christian or very, very religious to, I have a lot of people that are moving over to spirituality now. And, you know, they were taught something completely different. So, you know, maybe your parents had taught you that, you know, it's supposed to be one way or the other, you know, the right or the left, you know, the blue or the red, you know, mask or no mask, vaccination, no vaccination. And I feel like what's going to end up happening is a lot of people are going to start changing their minds about their belief, and they're going to start realizing that they've been lied to. Okay. So in the best way to do this and to stay grounded is, of course, eating your fruits and vegetables, taking your vitamins, you know, and being really mindful about where you're getting your information. You know, CNN is not a great platform, okay? And especially when you look around at the people who, you know, actually care about you. If you could look at the people that actually care about you, not the people who could use you as collateral damage and you're just a number in their book. They don't know your name. They don't know your emotions. They don't know anything about you. All you can do is, one of the resources that I would be looking at is astrologers. Honestly, if you're going to be getting your news from anyone, start looking into your astrology. Start looking into, you know, even talking to some psychics, you know, of course, be mindful of which ones that you're talking to and make sure that they don't have an emotional agenda based off of, you know, what they want to see in the world. You know, any one of us is always supposed to have an open platform where you are completely unbiased to one side or the other. For me, I can see that the astrology does not back what is going on right now. And by the end of this year, everybody will see the truth. And that's only if whether or not they want to believe it or not, because they have been lied to for so long.
Yeah, and that is also what hurts, because when I became awake, which was 7 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that, I was shocked. I couldn't fathom 9/11 and what happened and who was really responsible for that. I was like, no way. And the person who was trying to wake me up was like, Michelle, he said, I'll give you $100 to watch 1 hour of this one video. And it was Money Masters, 1997. It was old. And I watched, and I was floored, and I cried my eyes out. I was depressed for 2 days. And then I was like, well, what do we do? What do we do? And there was nothing to do at the time. And now the time is awakening and making a choice. And here's the thing too, is that they're using our virtue of love for each other against us and against our own human nature. Yes. Of what's natural for our human bodies to keep our human bodies healthy, because masks, there's no proof that shows that they do not help against viruses. And what happens is that the person is actually the body is trying to expel carbon dioxide and bacteria, and they can't. So their body's recycling that bacteria and carbon dioxide, which equals lightheadedness, headaches, nasal issues, throat, teeth issues. And then some people are even putting masking their children, which I think is child abuse. But this is hard for people to, you know, in mainstream to really grasp and to look past the media, especially CNN, which is, you know, a mainstream media, but, you know, $1 billion, you know, a media outlet. And it's like, well, Michelle, how can I not believe that? Are you seriously telling me that they're lying to me? That's impossible. They wouldn't lie to me. And I get it. I totally understand how you can not think that. And so I wanted to mention that, but then I wanted to also mention, because you're talking about go toward astrology. And here's what people, a lot of times people go, oh, that's woo woo. And that's, but here's the thing. Why haven't we been told of the energetic field of our body?
Why haven't they told us about the astrology and how it affects, that each energy affects? Because if people really knew how powerful their brains really were, we wouldn't have a government. So it's been a very well kept secret to people, because we wouldn't have powers that, above us. We wouldn't have the elites. Everybody would understand that they can manifest. If you want to be a freaking millionaire, you can be a millionaire. But what happens is they keep us small. They want to keep your mind small. They do not want you thinking for yourself. So that's why they're constantly pointing you in directions that keep you from actually being able to know your own power. It's temptations. They give you temptations. That's why there's drugs. That's why there's alcohol. That's why there's all these different things to keep your mind small. If you get told that you're ADHD, here, let me medicate that. ADHD people actually have a third eye that is overactive and oversensitive. So whenever they can, they classify you as something and hand you a pill for it, instead of saying, actually, here, let us train you in how to use this so that you can maneuver your life much easier and not be in fear, because fear is control of the masses. I want to go back to the masks for just a moment too. And astrologically, where that comes from. That's the North Node in Gemini. Gemini is the two faces. It's the ones that we have at home, and it's the ones that we show to the public. If you haven't noticed, this, ever since North Node went in Gemini as of May 5th of 2020, all of a sudden, we are all being masked up. Okay, so it's the face that we're out in public with and the one that we're at home with. So what they're doing is, again, Gemini being the twins, it's the two faces. And so we're being two-faced at this time. Okay, and so the masks, we won't stop those eclipses. They last 1.5 years in each and every sign. And I will walk you guys through what's going to end up happening in Taurus. That'll be when we have, stocks, bonds, cryptocurrencies, all those types of things are going to go, but we'll get to that later. But with North Node and Gemini, it lasts 18 months. So we have eclipse after eclipse after eclipse. So when that happens, it's showing our new selves, okay? And it's getting curious about life again as well. And no, to go back what you said earlier, our lives will never be the same again. So everybody who's trying to go back to the feeling that they felt last March, that was the end of it. So I want to say that the best things that anybody can do is, use your discernment, okay? And don't be afraid to rebel. That is what Uranus is all about. It is asking the people to learn to rebel, to learn to stand up for themselves, and to say when enough is enough, and to keep pushing forward. Like back in 1962, we always end up in a civil war, and that's where we're at right now. We are in a civil war at this time. And it is us against them. I will tell you guys, the people always win. But they will not win and if everybody lays down because they're tired. So one of my biggest things that I tell all my clients is, don't quit before the victory. You may feel like you're at a loss, and you may feel like, why do I even continue? Keep going. Because right when you start feeling so tired, that is when you're about ready to hit a breakthrough.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. So the other thing that I was sharing before I got cut off about was the body. Like, science has not talked about the energetic field of the body and the magnetism that each one of us has. The reason why it's 6 feet is because our heart energy field goes out 6 feet. And when we are connected with other human beings, our thoughts and our feelings are actually connected in the energetic field, creating a frequency together. This is why they don't want us to be they want us to be 6 feet apart from each other, so that we're not connecting, we're not empowering each other, and we're not raising the frequency of each other and the planet. So can you talk more about and that's the other thing too, is the planets. create a frequency that comes into each one of our bodies, like the moon. You know, we feel it with the moon, but we also feel it with these other planets that we don't know about and we have not been taught about. And that's probably one of the last things I wanted you to share. And then any other last things that you want to give as far as positive tips that people can use going forward, because this is a scary time. For me, I have been rebelling. I do not wear a mask, and when asked, I say I'm here in aloha and I'm medically, spiritually exempt, and please don't discriminate against me. And I say I'm just going to purchase my things and I'll be out of here. You know, I'm not harming anybody, and they usually, I mean, actually every single time I've said it like that, they've left me alone, especially when I just say I'm calm, I'm grounded, I'm here in aloha, please don't discriminate against me. I'm just going to purchase my things and I'll be leaving. And everybody so far has been very kind, and they let me purchase my things. But I love that you said that each one of us has a choice. So first about the energy field of our bodies, and then the planets, and then any last comments.
So with the planets and stuff, yes, each planet carries a different energetic frequency. So again, I talked about Saturn, which is about, you know, self-governing and those types of things, or outside of ourselves. We have Venus, which is about love and money and, you know, the kind, you know, the softer parts of life. That's where we go and get our hair done and our, you know, facials and, you know, changing our clothes and how we put ourselves out to the universe. Each planet has a different energetic frequency, and based off of the individual, depending on where your sun, your moon, and your rising sign are at the time that you were born, those frequencies are how you are going to be shown to the world. Each and every single one of us has had a friend stand next to us and, you know, talk about us, and we look at them and we're like, wow, that's not me, you know. And that's because what they're doing is they're describing that ascendant, aka your rising sign. So each one of us having a different frequency is going to be able to do something completely different. Just like you being a Scorpio, you're able to dig deep and penetrate into people's souls. You're able to dig out all the information. Me as a Virgo, I'm able to, you know, get attention to detail and really look at the reality of situations. Okay. So each person has their own frequency. So therefore, but them looking around and following the masses, I just want to let everybody know your rule book was tore up last year. The rule book that every single one of us has been living by since the day we were born. Whose rule book that is, we don't know who wrote it. As of 2020, that rule book has been burned. It's been ripped to shreds. And now stop looking around what everybody else is doing. Be really mindful about the subtle manipulation from your friends, your coworkers, your family members, all of those things. Actually go within. One of the things that I want to say is every 10 years, we go through a new chakra. So from 2010 to 2020, we were learning how to use our throat chakra. So talking about our wants, our needs, our desires, our likes, our dislikes, very important. But from 2020 to 2030, we're going into the third eye chakra. In doing so, you have to know that you know, and how you know is irrelevant. It's a feeling. It's using your own psychic ability. Now, when using this vaccination or whatever you want to call it, it is sent here to block that pineal gland, to separate the soul from the body is what this is here to do, so that people don't actually use their own intuition. They are just robots at this time. It's like the mercurial lights that are in the grocery store. If you ever look around in a grocery store, you notice how everybody's just robots when they're walking in there. That's the mercury. It's blocking out that pineal gland. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that there's nothing corroding that. So being mindful of what you eat, what you drink, what you consume, even television wise, because that is all blocking that pineal gland. In doing so, you're going to be able to trust yourself. And other people are going to think, oh, you're crazy. I don't even know. What makes you believe that? Right now, the logical mind needs to go out the window. Everybody is trying to base all of their decisions off logic. They're trying to base it off science, and there's not enough science backing any of this stuff. In fact, there's so much proof out there, but because everybody's being censored, because again, the darkness is wanting to censor the light, you know, there's 120 or 144,000 light workers, and we're all out here. We had to wake up when we did in order to be able to help guide the rest of everybody through and to see a new light. So one of the biggest things is, I want to say, try not to get frustrated with those who are not awakened right now. I know that that is really hard, but that is exactly what the darkness wants, is more division. Eventually, what's going to end up happening, you guys, is we are going to have to learn how to coexist, okay? Whereas for 200 years, we have been in Earth, you know, Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus energy, which is buy more, have more, do more, material, material, material. How much money is in your bank account? Let's, you know, tear down these forests and put houses in them. And then they're empty houses, okay? Now we are in a new era, okay, which is Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. This means that knowledge is power and words are weapons, and you're going to need to know how to use them. Okay. Knowledge is power and words are weapons. You're going to have to learn how to read between the lines on the things that people are saying. Now, if you have a blocked pineal gland, it's going to be very hard for you to be able to just censor what is coming. It's almost like a cat with his whiskers. Okay. Those whiskers are their sensors. This is ours. And so if this is blocked, we're not going to have that same sense to be able to maneuver as we should.
I hear you. Yeah, that's exactly where we're going. And you said Gemini, Libra, and what was the third one?
Aquarius, all air signs.
Okay, and interesting. Libra is interesting because that's about balance. That's about justice, right? That's very interesting. So what an interesting time we're in. So I just also want to give some tips around this time, because I have totally felt as well the ups and downs of it all, and angry and frustrated. And my biggest tip is to get into nature and feel her energy. Let your frequency combine with the frequency of the earth, even though you don't let it, it happens. It's happening right now. We cannot not be disconnected from her, but really consciously let yourself feel the frequency of the planet. It helps to ground you, and it helps to release stress. And that's one of my biggest things that I do every single day, if not twice or 3 times a day. So that's one of the best things that tips that I can give you right now. Ride this wave, because each one of us has chosen to be here at this time. And if you're watching this, you are one of the bravest souls that ever existed on the planet. So thank you so much for your courage to be here at this time. And peace, thank you so much for your time right now, and your wisdom and your willingness to do your own journey, because you went through darkness to bring it, go into the light to do the work that you're doing. So much appreciation to you. And is there any last tips that you want to give people?
Try not to rely on anything synthetic to make your life better. You know, there's a reason why Earth was put here. There's a reason why we have our own immune system. There's a reason why we have fruits, vegetables, vitamins. You know, those are all at our disposal. And if you could just do your own research and really start looking in, for those of you who are listening, if you're interested, I also know a lady who is she is a holistic doctor, and she also works in viruses. She has a scanner that is absolutely amazing. Her name is Kelly Dewar. She works in that industry, and she will help provide the right type of vitamins in order for you to be on this journey. And then those are also, you know, based off of you and how your necessities in your life. So anybody interested in that. Other than that, you guys, I can honestly say the best way is to stop looking at the media that is all Neptune ran. Right now, we have a Neptune square. The United States is natal Neptune. So this is where the truth can be revealed if you're willing to look past the illusion and what is being shown to you. The veil can be pulled back. Like I said, each and every single one of us does have our own journey. Some people are going to rebel and do it, and we just have to have patience. And that is where we are going to have to learn how to bring the earth. For the last 200 years, we are all the earth, and the newfound air and bring them together so that they can learn to coexist, which is exactly what the darkness doesn't want us to do, is to coexist. They want to break us further and further apart. So you've got people moving out into, you know, the woods somewhere, and everybody else is, you know, it's kind of like the Hunger Games at this point. So it's not a bad thing. This can actually turn out to be a very good thing. By 2024, you should start seeing a mass change in how everything is ran. But for all of you who are wanting it to go back to the way that it used to be, it's just not going to happen. So get prepared. And again, stop looking around at what everybody else is doing. This is not a one size fits all, and actually start walking your own journey. And if anybody is interested, please feel free to check out my website at thefootsteps2peace.com. I also have a YouTube channel, which is also The Footsteps to Peace. And if you're interested in a personal reading, all my information is on both of those.
And I'll put the information below this video as well. I had a personal reading with Peace. It was absolutely amazing. I highly recommend her. And Peace, again, thank you so much. So much aloha to you, sister. And for all of those for watching, aloha to you. Stay in your body, get into nature, breathe, and good fresh fruits, fresh clean food, and fresh clean water. Get those supplements in, and contact Peace if you want to get a reading. We're in this together, and we will win. Patience.
Stay away from fear. Stay away from fear, because whatever we put out projects back to us. So if we fear something, we fear being cheated on, we get cheated on. We fear, you know, getting sick, we're going to get sick. We fear getting fired, we get fired, because the universe will match the fear. So if we can just transmute that energy into something much more positive, we know that bad things can happen. But at the same time, really good things are also happening right now, you know. And if you're doing, if you're on your Dharma and you are running your business as such, and you are happy doing the things that you're doing, everything is going to flourish for you. If you're living in a place of fear, it's just the opposite. Michelle, I want to thank you for having me on here. I have been following you for quite some time. I've been, you know, in your emails doing all the little things that you're doing. I really do appreciate everything that you're putting out, even though I know that you've gotten a lot of backlash. But at the same time, I see everything that you see. I just see it on a different level. You know, obviously I use the astrology, but you're using your intuition, and I'm really happy to be on this journey with you, sister.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that acknowledgement. All right,
Absolutely.
Everyone. Michelle Melendez with Blossom Inner Wellness signing off, in peace. Hopefully I'd love to interview you again and have non-technical issues at that time. But much aloha, sister. I'll talk with you soon, everyone.
Bye.